So Spain are into the European Championships final, and in this video we're going to take a look at the semi-final which got them there, how they played against Germany, and why there was a little bit of a sign of fragility in this Spain side. But a big win for Spain, Harry. For a good 100 minutes, Germany remained defensively solid, and just a moment there of magic from Bonmati, and that made the difference.
Yeah, 100%. It was a brilliant contest, a very, very even semi-final. I thought Spain hit the ground running, but as the game went on, Germany really grew into the match and started to make it an even contest. And it could have gone either way. Once you get into extra time, anything can happen in football. But unsurprisingly, it was Bonmati who stepped up for her country and fired them into the final. And it was that kind of game. We knew it was probably going to be like that before the game, but we knew that in this match, it was going to take a moment of brilliance to split these two sides, and it was Bonmati who came up with it. Germany had opportunities to do so as well, so it really could have gone either way, could have even gone to penalties. It was a really tactically entertaining battle with two sides that were very, very close, and Bonmati made the difference. And well, how many times have we said that before? What a player, does really smartly with the goal, and overall it was. I enjoyed watching it. I thought it was a really good game, and Spain making it to their first ever European final, which is very exciting for them, looking to take their first ever Euros.
Yeah, definitely. It was a very interesting game of football. I think a very tactically complex game. I want to start with the goal because I think that's the high point, really. I think this was the ultimate sign of a lack of concentration because of fatigue. We see Berger's not focusing on her near post. She's expecting that ball across the box, so she's already commanding her defence, and Bonmati just catches her out, firing it to the near post. It was a very smart finish, but yeah, Berger for me has to do better on that one. I know it's been a long 110 minutes, but at that stage of the game, you've got to keep the concentration up. To leave your near post exposed like that, I think is really poor. And Berger was excellent throughout. She kept Germany in the game at points of her saves. So, she still commands huge respect. But for that goal, she has to do better. Just, I think, lost concentration with how late it was in the game.
Yeah, it's a bit of a characteristic of Berger, to be fair. And as Bonmati said, it's something that they had analysed. While watching back the footage, they realised that is a weakness of hers, is defending her own near post. Look at how Denmark scored against Germany in the group stage. Berger's biggest problem seems to be just watching that near post, and Bonmati said that Spain had looked at that before the game and they took advantage of it. It did take 100 odd minutes, but they got there in the end. But it's again, that was a good example of an attacking player knowing where the goalkeeper's weakness was, spotted it immediately, because there aren't many other players in the world that would have looked up there and saw the gap at the near post. A lot of players would just cut that across the box and it might have got cleared, it might have gone in, who knows. But there's only a certain level of player that would notice that tiny gap and be able to fire the ball through it. And unfortunately for Germany, it was Bonmati who was on the ball, so it was always going to find the back of the net. But yeah, I think Germany will be frustrated because they defended superbly for the majority of the match, but just switched off once. And players like Bonmati, they're going to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I think it was a frustrating way for them to concede after being so defensively solid for so long. But yeah, creditable my team managed to work out the weakness in this Germany side. But let's roll back then to the start of the game. The first half was very much Germany sitting defensive. 5-4-1 the shape. Spain, I think, struggled to break them down. If you discount the chances right at the end of the half, which obviously you don't have to, but in terms of, I don't think they came from Spain. That was Spain changing how they were playing. But from them trying to play through the Germany low block, they really struggled. Only 3 shots on target from 10 efforts, less than 1 XG. I think we saw Spain for the first time this tournament really struggle to break the team down.
Yeah, it was the first half an hour probably. First half hour, 35 minutes was a very stereotypical defensive versus aggressive performance where Spain had all of the ball, were moving it nicely, they got to the final third, and the team who were sitting 11 players behind the ball managed to stop them, and Spain couldn't really do anything, trying to play it short, trying to move the ball around for about half an hour. The one chance they did get within that 30-35 minutes was the Gonzalez effort that was saved by Berger, but that was a really poor mistake from Ket that really should have been pounced on, but a really good save from Berger. But yeah, it was a very characteristic 30 minutes where Germany sat deep, Spain tried to beat them by playing round them, and that didn't quite work. So what it needed is it needed something to change, and in that last 15 minutes, they just managed to find that. But for half an hour, it was a pretty standard attacking versus defensive performance.
Yeah, I mean, Germany setting up in a mid-block, making it difficult then for Spain to play through the line. Spain like to build up quite centrally, which obviously gives them better chances, because if you can attack centrally, you end up with the chance in front of goal. If you attack in the wide areas, it can be a little bit more difficult, but it is easier, obviously, to attack in the wide areas. So it's how you can create chances in the penalty area, really, is the game of football. And Spain are very good at being able to draw space on the edge of the box in that zone 14 and use their quality then to score goals, as we've seen throughout this tournament. But the way that Germany set up and the way that Germany were rushing out to those shots, they were stopping Spain being able to play through the lines. There's a few times that Spain tried these little combinations that have been so effective against other teams, but Germany just strong tackle, stand up the player, don't let that ball through there, and they were able to deal with those relatively easily. The struggle for Germany, well, first actually Germany were able to get some chances away. We saw that direct ball from Berger, which Hoffman was really intelligently dummied to header, and that drew out Irene Paredes and left that space in behind. Clara Buell has to hit the target for me. Really, really poor. I think overall she struggled to have an impact on this game. She kept getting the ball in dangerous areas, but her lack of end product was a real letdown for Germany. But yeah, I think that was disappointing. Clara Buell definitely could have taken that chance. That was pretty much it for Germany in the first half, and then obviously we saw Spain switch up how they're playing. So what Spain started to do was go a lot more direct. Because Germany playing a mid-block, the line was relatively high. What they could do was have players drop off of that Germany backline and then either draw the Germany players with them and then burst away from them, or just burst past them. And they were able to make these runs in behind. They started executing balls over the top, and we found that pass right over the top into Esther Gonzalez, where she was able to bring it down and get a really good opportunity away, bearing in on Goldberger with a huge stop. And then playing out from that moment, it was Pina who picked him up in possession and really has to do better with her chance. I felt driving towards goal and just seemed to slice it rather than... We've seen Pina open up her body and strike around the ball. This one was very much striking it flat on with the side foot and just got nothing behind it. What she's done so expertly is just strike around the ball to curl it to that far corner.
Yeah.
But we got the technique wrong. And this one, I think the occasion perhaps getting to her a little, and the fact that Berger was closing in. We see Pina do her best work when there are 10 players all stood there going, well, what's Claudia Pina about to do with the ball on the edge of the box? And then she curls it top corner. So, yeah, just missed the opportunity, and that's why we went into the break 0-0. I thought 0-0 was a very fair reflection for the first 45 minutes. Both teams had chances. There was a header as well for Irene Paredes in that first half that hit the post. So both teams had chances, but I don't think anyone created anything clear-cut. Spain were able to take some of Germany, or make something from Germany's mistakes on occasion, but they weren't creating high-quality chances with any sort of consistency.
Yeah, it was the kind of game that I think, 0-0 wasn't a terrible result for either side. I thought both sides would have been happy to be level. Spain probably could have been 1-0 up potentially at half-time with the double save from Berger.
Both teams had one statistical big chance each, so...
Yeah, but I just think even so, Spain had more opportunities to score. So I think it would have been realistic that they did go into that break 1-up. Germany might have had a big chance, but that was about it. That's all she wrote for the first half for Germany. It was very much focused on defensive performance from the Germans. But yeah, Spain. I think both sides would have been happy at 0-0 at half time. Could have probably been 1-0. As you said, the Paredes had another one that could have gone in, and again Germany got away with. I don't know how many sides this tournament are going to keep letting Irene Paredes have free headers. I've never seen anything like it. It's like usually the reason people concede from corners is because they all focus on the one big threat that the team's got.
Yeah.
But everyone who plays Spain seems to do the opposite. They mark everyone but Paredes, and they did Italy. They did it against Italy. Did it against Belgium. Did it against Germany. I don't get how Irene Paredes is always left unmarked from corners. It just seems so nonsensical to allow Spain's biggest aerial threat to just walk in at the back post and head it towards goal. And Germany got away with that one a bit. But
also their only real aerial threat. They've got other players who can head the football, of course, but it's not like you're stood there going, well, they've got these 4 great players and they're all going to be very dangerous. She's the biggest threat by a distance, and that's where they're aiming every cross.
Yeah.
So mark her, make it more difficult for her. But yeah, she does really well to drift away from players as well, to create space. But I thought 0-0 was Fair.
Yeah.
Second half, I thought Germany were the better side. I thought we saw Germany able to defend. They made a slight tweak, Germany, where they started playing a 4-1-4-1 rather than a 5-4-1. So in their defensive shape. So Minga, who had been pushing forwards into midfield when they had the ball anyway, was now sitting a little bit higher. They realised they didn't need that extra defender in the backline. They needed it in midfield, so they brought Minga in. And this gave Brandon Buell a little bit more licence to get forwards because they didn't need to drop back as wingers quite as much. I mean, they still did that defensive hard yards, but we saw Germany look much more comfortable and much more confident on the ball. They had more shots than Spain this half, created a higher XG tally, created more big chances, more shots on target. I think to play like that against Spain and look good is really positive. They moved from possession tally of 22% in the first half to 38% in the second half, which obviously you're still being absolutely dominated on the ball, but that is a stark contrast. That 16% swing or 32% swing in total. It's a complete difference. So yeah, really impressive. I think we saw a different side to Germany. They started to try and play football, and I think on a different day they would have got the winner in normal time.
Yeah, again, this is what for me really made this game interesting, was to see a side try and take on Spain. For the first half, Germany wanted to consolidate their position, make sure they were still in the semi-final. But in the second half, they came out and they wanted to win their game. What a lot of sides do against Spain is they play in a way to stop Spain winning rather than to win the game themselves.
Yeah.
But Germany in this second half, they came out and they played their own football and went, we're going to try and play our way and see if that will beat Spain. And to be honest, it worked pretty well. They got Euler Brand into the game, which made a massive difference. Again, I think Brand and Buell will be so disappointed about their lack of end product in this game because the positions they were getting in and the work they were doing deeper in the pitch was brilliant. But as soon as they got into the final third, it's like they both just forgot how to play football. It was really costly because all it took was Buell or Brand to take one of their chances and they could have put themselves ahead.
I disagree more on Brand though, because she didn't really get the same chances Buell did. Buell was getting them higher up the pitch because they were able to, because Bate was quite narrow, they were able to then exploit that. The problem on the other side was every time Brand got the ball, Carmona just fouled her. 6 fouls from Olga Carmona, not a card. Every time Brand tried to come forward, she just took her out. And so that really stopped Germany breaking down the right-hand side. And the referee allowed that to happen because she didn't ever take action on Carmona. So that, I think, would be a point of frustration for Germany, the fact they couldn't get Brand more into this game and the fact that the referee allowed that to continue. On the other side, they had a lot more success, but Buell just lacking that end product. The amount of time she cut inside and then towards the end of the game, Spain read every time what she was going to do. But yeah, Spain was smart with the fouls. We saw Patrick Ayaro take players down every time Germany tried to break away on the counter. Again, she didn't get punished until quite deep into extra time. But yeah, that's what you expect, really. It's I think Germany was the better side second half. I thought they created better chances. They deserved to get a goal. They were just unfortunate they couldn't, really. But what we saw was a side take the game to Spain, and Spain really not know how to react. It felt that they grew frustrated in that second half. They responded by just committing more fouls and by letting that frustration boil over a little bit. I think we saw Spain crack a little bit in that second half, and I think Germany can take immense pride from that. Spain still had a few chances, but they were fleeting and few and far between. So I think, if you can take Spain from having 12 shots in the first half to 5 in the second half, you've really nullified their threat while offering your own attacking threat, because Germany didn't register a shot on target in the first half. They registered 3 in the second half from 8 shots. So huge upturn in performance, and they deserved to win the game based on that second half. Obviously, they didn't quite get that goal. I think going into extra time, we then saw the pendulum start to swing again, where Germany very much went much more defensive and looked to play for penalties, and Spain didn't want that to happen. So Spain were coming forwards, first half extra time, 27% possession, 73% possession. Classic sort of first half extra time where neither side could create anything of high quality there.
Yeah, 100%. It was one of those where it was the kind of game that deserved to go extra time. Spain were better side first half, Germany the better side second half, and it was perfectly even. And it went into extra time, and as you say, it was 15 minutes where neither side could really get a foot on the ball. Especially Spain had their foot on the ball, but in terms of doing meaningful things in an attacking area, everyone was just settling in, just recovering a little bit. When you've just gone through 90 minutes, the fatigue starts to set in, and for 15 minutes, I think everyone just took their foot off the gas. Spain just protected the ball to not risk giving it away or conceding anything. Germany were happy for Spain to have the ball and not do anything with it. So it was one of those where the game plan worked out for both teams. Spain were happy just to protect the ball and not risk anything, and Germany were happy to sit in their penalty area and Spain not come forwards at them. And that worked for 15 minutes, and it felt like that we were just going to see again where we have 30 minutes extra time that doesn't really do anything, and then we go back, straight into penalty kicks. But Spain had other ideas. But yeah, Germany tried to play for penalties, and it worked for 15 minutes. But it's a difficult strategy. We saw Italy try and do the same thing against England on Tuesday, and it didn't work. And we saw England do the same thing. Sorry, saw Germany do the same thing last night, and that didn't work either.
Yeah, I think it does work though if Sydney Lohmann doesn't try and dribble out of her own penalty area, lose the ball, leave Germany, to turn possession over when Germany aren't settled in a defensive shape. Spain play a pass into Aitana Bonmati, who catches neck out by turning and then smash one at the near post. It's not like Spain were having a constant onslaught. They took 2 shots in this second half of extra time. It just happened that one of them was a great opportunity, and Bonmati made it that with really smart movement and a good finish. But Spain still really struggled to break Germany down. I can't understand what Sydney Lohmann was doing. I just can't understand it. In that moment of the game, to try and dribble out there, just knock it out of play. Put it out for a throw. Why are you trying to dribble around players in your own third? If it goes to penalties, Germany win this game. I think that's quite, Germany are the huge, great on mentality. Have Ann-Katrin Berger, who's excellent on penalties. I think they would have gone on to win this game. So for Lohmann to try and play out in that situation, to try and dribble past players, it's just really stupid, stupid stuff. I feel like no one really could do anything about the goal. Knack just misread the movement, but it makes sense because Spain like to receive at the back to goal and then play about 15 passes before they score. So for Bonmati to sort of lean right, make it look like she's going to receive it on her back foot and then just let the ball run through, it's really smart. And she was able to then burst in behind of Rebecca Knack. And as you mentioned, Bonmati been working on how to get past Berger, and that near post seemed to be a weakness. And yeah, Germany switch off, Berger switches off, and Spain score from it. But what we saw here from 120 minutes of football was the most difficult challenge Spain have had so far. They've come through it, but what we saw was them not really be able to break down the Germany defence, not really be able to create big chances, and not capitalise on their possessional dominance. And that will certainly be encouraging for England, I think, in the final. The fact that Spain here have shown that they are not as strong as they looked against the other sides. And we've been saying this throughout the competition, people looking at Spain's results against the likes of Italy and Portugal and Belgium and Switzerland saying, yeah, that's great, they've pasted those sides, but that's not a fair comparison. And I think now we've seen them matched up against someone strong, and they came through it, and we saw that grit and that determination, and that is a huge part of what makes champions champions, being able to come through games where you didn't have it all your own way. But I think without a momentary lapse in concentration and Sydney Lohmann overplaying it, and if England could to get those same chances that Germany did and are more clinical, I definitely think this is going to be a very even final. I think what we saw from Spain is they're not as dominant as a lot of people thought they were.
Yeah, the final is a real unknown because we have no idea what kind of England are going to come out. For Spain, I think what it is for Spain is that there's not a real adjustment. And by that I mean is that they have a consistently really good level, but the result will always be based on what the other team are doing. And at times, Germany was slightly above that Spanish level. At other times, Germany were just below it. I don't think Spain really changed. I don't think Spain obviously they changed a little bit, but I don't think they get massively better or worse across the 90 minutes. I think Spain hold a good level, and then based on what their opposition are doing, Spain then go, and obviously that's not a bad reflection on Spain. They are consistently good, but like you saw it in the Italy games and the Switzerland game. Switzerland for 60 minutes were just under that Spanish level. They then dropped off, and Spain still at that high level went and scored 2 goals. And that's what Spain do. Is they keep at a consistently high level for 90 minutes, and eventually they'll beat the other side down because the other side will drop off. But it's one of those where if you can do what Germany did, which was keep bouncing around between being better and being worse, if you can take advantage when you're better and ride your luck when you're worse, then you can get through games like Spain. In this game, though, Germany got punished when they were worse and didn't take advantage when they were better, and Spain went on to win it. So I think it will be an interesting final that I think will go to and fro between the two sides. It's exactly what this quarter-final did. 45 minutes was, there was half an hour where it was even, 15 minutes where Spain were all over them. Then there was about 15, 20 minutes in the second half where Germany were better. It evened out again. And then the game, the 90 minutes ended with a flurry of German chances. Massive credit to Catalina Cole. Phenomenal double save at the end of the 90 minutes. And then again, extra time. 15 minutes of being even. 5 minutes of Spain being on top where they got their goal. And then it went 10 minutes of being even again. It was a game across 120 minutes that fluctuated between who was on top, who was the better side. And for the majority of it, both were even, but it came down to Spain taking advantage in one of their moments of one of their periods of being the better side. But overall, if we can get a final like that, which chops and changes between who's the better side, it's going to be a brilliant, brilliant game to watch.
Yeah, I like your comment as well on the level. I think it's very much because Spain are all about player quality. Spain just play the same way. They don't need a manager. Tome made one tweak in this game, and that was the last 10 minutes of the second half. Told him to play over the top. But even that, we can't be sure that was Tome and not just Spain deciding to change it up on the pitch. So we didn't see Tome make any sort of tactical adjustment. They weren't able to break down a low block, and nothing changed. She made some changes that were fairly like for like, bringing on Paralluelo was a slight difference to try and go in behind a bit more. But I feel like that weakens them. Paralluelo isn't great up front, good in behind against weak opposition, but this wasn't weak opposition and they weren't going to get chances in behind. So, bit of a strange sub for me. Athenia came on, that's like for like, and then Martin Prieto came on for a bit of presence up front. So, but they didn't start crossing it in the box. So, what was the point in that? That for me is Spain are just a quality team. They've 11 brilliant players out there. The level doesn't drop because it's not reliant on tactics, but the level doesn't go up because no tactical adjustments are made. So it's just one of those situations. As for Germany, I think Christian Vuk's a fantastic manager. What we're seeing at this tournament is that he can compete tactically with the best managers, with the best teams. Germany are a strong side, don't get me wrong, but I think looking at the quality of the likes of Spain and the likes of France to be able to, and even Sweden, to be fair, to be able to compete with France and then Spain. I think the Sweden game he got wrong, but he realised what he did wrong in that game and adjusted it. And so, I think what we saw was Christian Vuk be really good at his job. And Germany got a lot of young talents coming through. They didn't, they had this tournament here where they didn't have Lena Oberdorf, who's arguably their best player right now. So I don't think they'll be too disappointed with what happened. I was disappointed by the reaction on the pitch. I understand that not everyone has to be upset by results, but I thought some of the German players smiling with some of the Spanish players, I thought that was bizarre. If I was a Germany fan, I'd have been disappointed by that, but that is modern football, really, isn't it? But I think what we saw from Germany was a spirited tournament and something that they can build on going forwards. And I think with Vuk at the helm, they're in a really good position.
Yeah, I think it's something that we've seen with this German side under Vuk is that they don't let emotions get the better of them. And I think that goes for both, when they lose and when they win. Is that when they win, obviously they enjoyed the France win, but it wasn't like going absolutely crazy and everyone's out partying and having a great time. But then when they get knocked out, it's like, I think what Germany and Vuk have done very well is to keep their emotions in check, which a lot of sides don't do. It's a very difficult thing to do, but they just play the game. And I think they walked off against France and they enjoyed getting through, but after that it was right back into to game mode for the semi-final. And today I think they just appreciated the fact that they've been involved in a brilliant game. I think the respect between Berger and Gonzalez was brilliant to see. Obviously, club teammates, and I think they both appreciated.
I think that's why Berger was keeping her out. She knew what to expect from Esther.
Yeah, but I thought Germany, I think individual moments let them down this tournament. Yes, even though they got through to the semi-finals, 2 red cards against Sweden and France, individual errors that led to the goal. There were just moments of madness, you feel, for Germany this tournament that let them down a little bit. But semi-finals is not a bad. It's not when you've had international legends retire, when you're missing players through injury, no Nusken in this semi-final either, and when you've had a change of manager, getting to the semi-finals and losing to the reigning world champions and the favourites to win the tournament. I don't think is a bad thing for Germany whatsoever.
No, not at all. I think they'll be, as I say, immensely proud of their efforts at this tournament. I think they'll look at the next World Cup in Brazil as one they can go and challenge at again. I think if Vuk can continue to have this sort of impact, that will beat out player quality, especially if Germany had more player quality, which they've got players coming through. And, Gwyn coming off injured and no Lena Erberdorf, arguably, for most of this tournament, they didn't have their two best players. Obviously, Brandon Buell excellent as well, Schuler. But, yeah, I think a lot of injuries at this tournament. So, going forwards, Germany are in a really good position. We'll see what happens at the next World Cup. They've also got the Nations League for them. Maybe they'll win that. Who knows? That, though, is everything from us today. We'll be back over the next few days with a final preview. And, of course, we'll be back on Sunday with the final. I can't wait for that. Other than that, we're live tomorrow. We're going to be covering the WSL fixture release. So if you're looking forward to the start of the WSL season, the fixtures are announced tomorrow. Join us at 9:30 BST. That should be a great stream. So if you're about on a Friday morning, which I'm sure everyone is, no one works, just hop in the stream and join us for that. Or if you've got an office job, put it on your phone in the corner and hope your manager doesn't walk in. So join us for that. That is everything from us today. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.